Welcome to Near Dark.
Night is always dark anyway, so we don't actually have to say night. So
I do got a question for you. And to be fair, it's going to segue into our movie.
okay.
If you meet this pretty girl, you offer to give her a ride home, and she starts talking about how deafening the night is,
Yes.
and that she will still be alive when a star's light finally hits Earth a billion years later.
Yes.
Do you still want to try to be with this woman?
Are you asking, like, does your red flagometer go off
Yes.
at that point when she's talking crazy?
Yes. And the fact that your own horse, I mean, you don't have a horse, but your own animal, any pet you may or may not have, starts acting weird around her.
That horse literally left town. It got on the highway and went to a different state.
Yeah, because notice how next time we see this horse, he's brown instead of white.
Yeah, I mean, in the movies, the horses, well, usually it's the dogs usually detect evil, but
Well, it's any
horses,
animal. Any animal can detect any kind of evil.
I don't know. You think any animal?
Horses are more scared.
You think like the insects are like?
Well, what's a vampire going to do to an insect?
Ah,
It's one, especially since insects don't really have the type of blood vampires need.
Yeah, that's true.
Like
Horses might be worried that hey,
Horses are worried because, again, that's a predator. Same with dogs, same with cats. Any kind of animal that sees you as a predator would be scared out of their mind.
But is it ever established in vampire lore that they specifically want human blood and not animal blood? Because they do always prey on humans, it seems. Otherwise, they could just easily take out
most lore,
animals.
it says they can feed on animal blood. It's just human blood sweeter.
Human blood's like chocolate milk and
Animal blood's
almond
like
milk,
Yeah.
soy milk.
Yes.
So they just prefer a sweeter milk.
Exactly.
I can't blame them for that at all.
Or it could be like goat milk. I mean,
It's like
she must have her earbuds in.
it's like the difference between the difference
difference
between
between
blue cheese and ranch.
Yeah,
And
no
they
one likes
want
blue
they
cheese.
want the ranch, yeah.
Yeah.
Or
Even though I don't need the ranch because ranch dulls the flavor of the sauce.
it's peanut butter and versus Chick-fil-A sauce. Okay.
How is that a good comparison?
Oh, maybe not. Oh, when comparisons go wrong.
Right. It's like beef bacon and turkey bacon.
Oh, there
There
we
you
go.
go.
Folks, if you ever are in a position to have either turkey bacon or beef bacon, always go with the beef bacon. Leave turkey bacon.
Have you tried it yet?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Fantastic. A much better substitute than turkey bacon, which turkey usually is a terrible substitute. Turkey burgers are okay. As long as you dress them up with like cheese and whatever.
make it
sort
a
of on
burger.
Yeah, then it's fine. But turkey bacon, nah, it doesn't get the job done. Okay, now back to red flagometer.
Yes.
So here's the thing. Young Caleb,
He's on a night out in town.
night in the town with his friends, and he sees
One of them, he almost beats his ass.
he sees a strange woman, approaches her, and she asks him for a ride.
Yes.
Now, for him, he's very attracted to her.
Yes. I don't say
So, I think what's going on those first few minutes is that even though she's talking nonsense, we, the audience, can hear her talking nonsense, and all our red flag meters are going off. He is just consumed with the idea of getting with this girl on this night. So everything, even the gibberish, sounds good to him because he's making progress towards being with her. So basically, he's got the wool over his eyes.
He's got the doo-doo brain.
He's like, yeah, she's saying something about stars, and it sounds like she might be like
A little insane.
one of the undead. I mean, she's got a. It's so funny that the movie does a good job in those first few minutes without saying anything, but all the hints are there. The way she's talking, the horse leaving town.
Right.
It's pretty clear to us
I
something's
feel like
going
the horse left the state, not just the town.
on. So basically, everybody in the world knows something's going on, except young Caleb.
Yeah, because he's got sex on the mind. I mean, that's still a fun way to say it without actually
Now-
being pervy.
Well, let's take a step back, folks. We are talking about the movie Near Dark from 1987.
With Lance Henriksen and Bill Paxton.
Yes. And the movie, even though the movie's kind of a cult classic, a lot of people know about the movie in kind of the online world. It's a very kind of obscure film, and like I think most people probably haven't seen it. And it's hard to find, as you saw. It
Yeah.
wasn't in any mainstream streaming service.
I found out you cannot get it on Amazon. It's currently unavailable. Put it on there.
Yeah.
It's not on any other streaming service. You can probably find a bootleg copy online. But what I did is I found a streaming service called Criterion Channel, which is classics, like a classic movie channel, which is going to be unsubscribed at the end of the day today.
Well, thank goodness for free preview. So
Right.
get that 7 days and get out.
Right.
Now, the movie was overshadowed because it came out at the same time as The Lost Boys.
Oh, it definitely got overshadowed.
So The Lost Boys was like the hit vampire movie of the time, which obviously everybody's seen The Lost Boys. It's like a much bigger mainstream thing. So this movie is kind of in the shadow of that. And it's a completely different movie also, we can say as well. So, but I can understand why Lost Boys is more flashy and gets more attention. It's more comedic. This is more of a
Grounded.
very
say.
realistic depiction of how vampires might actually be, which I kind of dig. Usually vampires in movies are like romanticized, or usually like rich, and they're trying to take over the world and do all this stuff.
I mean, to be fair, May was romanticized.
Yeah, but what I mean romanticized, I mean that they're making the idea of vampires being cool, and the vampires are always like cool and suave, and either they're rich or they have plans for world domination. These vampires are just trying to get by. They're just basically on the outskirts of society. They're traveling town to town, getting blood, feeding whatever they can, and they seem miserable for the most part. Well, I mean,
Well,
maybe
except
not-
Bill Paxton.
I mean, not Bill Paxton. He's living his best life, but
That's it. But I will say, for anyone, if you still think you want that kind of life, make sure you give yourself a shave, because I guess vampires don't like biting through hair.
They don't. Yeah. So this ragtag group of vampires, I would say, is definitely different than most vampires we see in movies. And I appreciate that it feels different. And this is one of those movies also where the word vampires never actually said in the movie,
Yeah.
which is interesting. So
I mean, even when our main character's trying to tell his dad what's going on, it's like, I've been bit. It's like, are you going to tell him by what?
right. There's a point where he easily could say vampire and just solve a lot of problems.
Yeah,
but
'cause
he
even-
refuses to say the word.
Yeah, because even the dad at that point would probably listen to him, because the dad did just shoot him and the guy spit out the bullet.
So let's get back to young Caleb and May. As we said, she's leaving hints all over the place. A big paper trail that she's a vampire. She's screaming vampire in his face, but he just wants a date. So he's like,
Well,
okay.
He then does something that, honestly, he deserves what he gets. Because,
So are you talking about when she's like basically saying, take me home?
yeah.
And for
he,
some reason he refuses.
Yeah, he turns off the truck and goes, you got to give me a kiss first. Like, I understand this is the 1980s and guys were pretty direct like that.
Forward, but
But,
they could have done a better job of like, I know they want to give her a reason to bite him, but there had to be a better way. That scene in itself makes him seem like, and he's not a jerk. The rest of the movie is cool, but
Right.
But this early thing doesn't make him like likable to do that.
what they could have done is just, as he's taking her home, she finally lets the bloodlust kind of get to her, and then she bites him.
It just that the way he did that was like would make more sense if she was like still being playful. She's like in a panic, like "Get me home now!"
Right.
Like with a panic voice.
Yeah, because you also
and that's
see the
when
sun
he
coming up.
That's when he decides to turn the car off and be like, "Oh, I want a kiss!" Like, come on, Caleb, what are you doing?
Right.
So
It's like, if she's sitting there like, I want to see the stars. Can you take me home now? It's like, yeah, but you got to give me a kiss first. Boom.
and then she's like, "You know what? I haven't had breakfast." So,
Right.
So
She hadn't had dinner.
if you're gonna invite me to do this, I was gonna. Which is interesting. I guess she was going to just let him go. I mean, if he dropped her off, she didn't.
Well, the problem
She
is,
wasn't planning to bite him.
problem is, if he did drop her off, the rest of the clan would have seen him, and then the movie still would have taken place the way it did.
We have to theorize that she was at the bar probably, I would think, to find someone to feed on.
Yes.
But maybe she actually liked him enough to be like, hey. So he's kidnapped by our ragtag group of vampires, which we're introduced to Jesse, which is our main vampire,
villain.
played by one of Nick's favorite actors,
Lance Henriksen.
a.k.a. Mr. Pumpkinhead,
Yes.
a.k.a.
Terminator kill.
shot to shit in Terminator.
And don't forget, he was Bishop in Aliens.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
And he was Bishop in AVP.
so this is very interesting. So this movie's made by Catherine Bigelow.
Yes.
Now, she was married to James Cameron that time. So this movie came out right after, it was the year after Aliens. So you'll actually notice that this is the same cast from Aliens.
For the most part,
You
isn't
have
it?
Bill Paxton, the woman who plays Jesse's wife in this.
Diamondback.
She's also in Aliens. So that's because James Cameron was married and it was like, hey, I just use this cast. They can immediately jump into your movie right afterwards. They even think there's also even like a Hollywood rumor that he used his money from Aliens to help finance this movie.
If that rumor is true, I'm glad he did, honestly.
Yeah. So that's why it's very interesting if you watch this back-to-back Aliens. Like, oh, it's the same cast just carried over. It was made right after Aliens.
Was it little kid? Was Homer the little kid in Aliens?
Well, he played the alien, yeah. So
Oh, Homer played the alien.
yeah, he was playing the dress up. He just put on the costume and so.
He just put on the costume and started chasing everyone. Ah!
He was a xenomorph. So
He was a Xeno kid.
yeah. So yeah, we have Jesse. We have the little kid,
Homer.
little demon kid Homer, who is basically a 50-year-old at least in a kid's
In a
body.
kid's body, yep.
We have May, of course.
May, played by I don't know who.
I don't know. I do like the actress, but I don't know her name. I don't think I've seen her in much else other than this. But
I didn't even look her up.
but she does have something appealing about her. I can see why Caleb was smitten with her.
I don't.
Is it the hair?
The hair.
This man Nick just does not like blonde hair. I don't understand. So, anyways,
Well, I know we said Bill Paxton, but we didn't say his character's name, which is Severin.
Severin. Now, Severin is the loose cannon of the group, of course. This group is really like a family, basically. You have Jess is the father figure.
Mm-hmm.
You have the mother figure. You have the rebellious, crazy, out there son, which basically is Bill Paxton's role
Mm-hmm.
as Severance.
Then you got the older brother of Homer.
The xenomorph
Yep.
Homer. And I don't know how May fits in. It feels like she doesn't really want to be with this group. She was just kind of like,
I think she was originally
Pulled
supposed to be Homer's mate because Homer was the one who turned her. And he seemed really annoyed that she went ahead and turned someone her own age.
because she was like, kid, you might be 50 in the brain, but in the body form, you are 11.
Yeah, and that would be weird even for vampires.
Yeah, I'm glad they didn't go there. In this movie. So the whole idea here basically is that, listen, you've been bitten. We're going to give you 1 week to become one of us.
And if you don't, we kill you.
Kill you and eat you like a Grand Slam breakfast.
And Bill Paxton will probably enjoy it.
Oh, he's counting the days on his calendar. He's like, man, I really hope this dude doesn't work out.
Well, he really wants to use the spurs, the spur blades on his foot.
Yes, well, he's going to get a chance for that later in the movie for sure. So, anyways, Caleb in the early goings pretty much is confused, lost, doesn't know what's going on, wants to go back home, tries to go back home, but unfortunately for him, doesn't have money. He doesn't have enough money for a bus ticket. Now, if you're the cashier, do you give the kid the extra $3 or just give him the ticket?
Honestly, I would just give him the ticket just minus $3 for one reason. What if he turns out to be a vampire and I just pissed him off?
But luckily for this cashier, this is one of the nice vampires who has a guilty conscience and a big problem biting people.
Yeah, about that. A real vampire shows up in the form of a detective wanting to try and pull him in for drugs.
Well, I mean, listen, he's from the town of Fix. He looks like he needs a fix.
Yeah.
I can't blame this detective for assuming the worst. There's two assumptions he could have made: crack cocaine or vampire in training. And he went with crack cocaine, and I can't blame him for that.
I was about to say. Did you notice that the turning is pretty quick in this movie?
Very quick.
Because he literally was bitten, and not even an hour, he's already burning in the sun, meaning, so he's already turned.
Yeah. There's not a lot of vampire lore in this movie, but we do get the main thing is sunlight. We don't know if steaks kill them. We don't know if we don't know if garlic matters or crosses and things like that, but
Well, consider the fact he did try to eat a chocolate bar and he puked it out. What if that chocolate bar had garlic in it?
maybe I think that was just meant to show that blood is the only thing that's gonna.
Which is weird because
satisfy
we
them.
do see May licking on an ice cream.
Huh. So ice cream gets the job done.
Unless it was Buttercream.
Oh. Well, hey, maybe they went to what's the place that has like all the flavors?
That's one?
Baskin Robbins.
Baskin Robbins. Oh,
They're known for their flavors. Maybe they introduced
Buttercream.
Buttercream.
True Buttercream.
True Buttercream.
Yep.
Just in case there's a market for vampires for ice cream.
Yes.
Okay. Well, all right. So
We'll go with that, even though it's white.
well, one thing this vampire group does is on the road is they have to ditch their wheels and get
Yeah. So
New
I have an issue with them ditching an RV, which is a good size thing for vampires to cover up the windows and sleep during the day with.
perfect.
They can go anywhere they want. for fucking a sedan, it looks like.
Yeah, that wasn't a good trade-in.
No.
That was ill-advised.
I mean, I understand why they ditched the RV. The Caleb's dad and sister just saw him get kidnapped by it, but...
Every cop in town's going to be looking for that RV.
Well, they found it.
Oh, well.
No bodies.
Well, yeah. Because they're smart and they got it
Yeah,
right.
so Caleb's dad and sister decided to go on the hunt. Which is why Caleb did not get a hold of him when he tries calling him back.
You hate misunderstandings like that because he's like calling home. Of course, he should assume that they're out looking for him, but he doesn't. He just assumes like, oh my goodness, they're not there. What's going on?
Well, from what we see of the dad, I don't think the dad cares. Let's face it, he really only cares about his daughter. And his daughter cares about the brother, so now he has to care about the brother.
The dad does care.
He literally did not look up when his daughter says, I think he's sick.
Okay, well, that part. But in terms of getting his son back, I think he cares. But I don't know. Okay, so realistically, vampires feed on blood. So we're going to get like, not really a montage, but we're going to see basically all the characters from a ragtag gang try to lure in their prey, basically.
Right.
We have the little xenomorph Homer laying on the ground next to a bike.
Like he just got hit.
And then...
Nom Nom's the first person that comes in.
Yep.
And then you got Bill Paxton or Severin, where he's about to have a threesome.
Yes.
And then you got Jesse and Diamondback, who are being mugged.
Being carjacked, and this is unfortunate for the carjackers. Reminds me of Bert and Tremor saying, "You done broke into the wrong damn rec room."
Well, you know what's bad though? Consider the fact that Jesse actually gave him the opportunity to leave.
Yes. This is the most overconfident, smug carjacker of all time. He's in the back seat, just like laughing it up, and
He's like, I'm gonna do things to your wife.
This guy definitely deserves what he has coming to him.
Well, unfortunately, we don't get to see that. I kind of wish we did. You know, I kind of do like vampire violence in my vampire movies.
Yeah, I mean, don't worry, that's coming.
Just not here.
Fortunately for Caleb, he's in the middle of guilty conscience thing where it's like he knows he has to get the blood, but he can't actually get himself to kill a human.
So I have a solution for him on this point. It's called he carries a knife with him, right?
Yep.
He grabs a person's wrist, slits it, and then drinks from the wrist while the guy's sitting there trying to punch him. You know, obviously it's not going to do much to him.
Yep.
So he drinks the blood, but he doesn't kill the guy. He doesn't even bite the guy, really. He's just drinking the blood out of an already open wound.
Ah.
I hope I didn't speak too fast.
Well, I mean that's an idea, certainly. Well, instead he does the old rope-a-dope where he
Pukes.
lays on the ground while May does the deed.
Yes.
So that works too, I guess. Let May do all the work and
Then
you
feed from her.
Then drink her blood. So,
I hope she left a little bit more in the trucker so that way after he was done feeding from her, she can go back and take the rest of the blood from the trucker.
yeah, I hope I wonder what they're gonna do with that truck though. Truck's just gonna sit there.
Yeah.
Okay. Well.
I bet there wasn't anything important in there.
Yeah.
Probably a bunch of Playboys.
Huh. Yeah, the movie does a great job just showing again the day-to-day life of being a vampire. It's not glorious. Doesn't look fancy. Doesn't look fun. Looks really like a miserable existence. That's what we're seeing here. Now with May and Caleb, I think I said this earlier, but I'm not really buying their relationship early on. But as the movie goes on, I can see where they have a connection, and I can see where she.
He still thinks she's pretty.
Yeah, but she definitely wants him to be with her.
Yeah, the sex glasses hasn't come off yet.
Yeah, and also, like I said, I don't think she likes the rest of the group. So at least she sees somebody she can talk with in the group. Okay.
Fair. I mean, look at the person who turned her. Some arrogant little shit.
That, and I don't see her having a lot of conversation with Severin either. So.
Yeah, no, his whole conversation is, how did you feed today?
Pretty much.
Did you rip the head open? Yeah, that's a good way to do it.
Now, speaking of that, let's get to probably the most famous scene in the movie.
The bar scene.
The bar scene, this bar, which was built specifically for this movie. Apparently built near the Magic Mountain theme park.
So it's part of Magic Mountain now?
Yeah, pretty much. Wow, what a scene. This scene is like just Bill Paxton just chewing up the scenery. Man's over the top, loving his life.
Waitress gets a very thankless death.
Oh, God. I felt bad for her. She was the only one I felt bad about in the bar.
Well, I feel more bad at the fact that when she gets killed, absolutely no one reacts.
Yeah, this bar looks like they're acting like they get attacked by vampires every week.
It's like, damn it, I gotta get another
They're
one
like,
now.
the bartenders act like it's Tuesday. Oh, it's vampire night. They're here. Everybody's just frozen in place. Maybe they're all in shock, but they all look pretty chill.
But even the bartender, who again, I bet that was his daughter by any chance, and he was just like, gotta get another one.
This was a subliminal message to not drink, because if they had been at home and not the bar,
Well, she was a waitress.
bad tips, and maybe a vampire will slit your throat and drink your blood.
Yeah, you again, kind of lack of vampire violence. What's slitting the throat when you could have just bit her? I feel like there's a few, unless maybe these vampires don't have the teeth.
Oh, but they wanted to drink the blood in the glass.
Yeah,
Because they use the blood directly into a cup, a
Right.
glass, and they drink it as if it's red wine.
Nah, if I was a vampire, I'd rather take it from them, like Bill Paxton did. By the way, for anyone who, for some reason, wants to get bit by a vampire, make sure you shave.
Wow.
Because Bill Paxton lets on that vampires don't like biting through hair. They don't like hair being in their food. I mean, be fair, who does?
Being very nice here, allowing our audience to brace themselves when they are attacked by a vampire to
Yes.
make things as convenient as possible for the vampire.
Exactly.
Now, violence. Let's talk about the death scene of the.
The bartender.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, he gets to use those spurs, doesn't he?
Finally, and it's pretty bad.
And he cuts his head off. Well, first he slits his throat multiple times and then kicks it off.
Yes. The final guy in the bar jumps to the window and runs away.
Yes.
Smart. Finally, someone reacts.
And when Caleb does try to bite him, his sense of morality. You'd think, with him being a vampire, losing blood because he just got shot also.
Mm-hmm.
He's bleeding out his mouth because he just got punched because for some reason a trucker decided to listen to his actual opponent and punch Caleb. Okay, that makes no sense. But you'd think with him losing the amount of blood and the fact he needs blood to survive, you'd think he'd be more animalistic right now.
Yeah. He still can't get his guilty conscience, though. He can't make the transition into killing humans. But again, it's hard if you're just a human being. It's hard to then see them as your prey that quickly.
Yeah, but if he was losing that much blood, I'd feel like he would go more animalistic, and then he wouldn't have even noticed. He would have blacked out.
He tries, but then when the guy's like kind of begs off a little bit, he lets him go. And
I
this-
know what it is.
and
he
this
wanted
is
to
kind
bite
of-
a woman.
Maybe. But then that'd be cheating on May-ish. Maybe not.
Well, it's not because that's his prey.
True.
May is his lover.
But he's been biting her, though, so.
Yeah, well, it's still if that's classified as cheating, he'd still be cheating just by biting him.
It's a cheat meal. She only wants him to bite her. No, you know what? This is the last straw for our group here because they're like, hey, giving you a week. You still can't kill the dude. You're done for. But he's going to redeem himself with this cop ambush scene.
Yeah, I got a question about this. Who alerted the cops to the bungalow? Was it the old man inside the bungalow who's most likely just woke from the nap when the police showed up?
Yeah.
Or was it the kid that would have no way of knowing they were at the bungalow?
It's the CIA.
It was the CIA.
Yeah.
CIA knew.
What if this bungalow scene? What if like the gang from John Carpenter's Vampires showed up? So where's the master at? And they're just like, get out of here.
Lance Henriksen would have killed James Woods. Probably not, actually.
No, I don't think so. I think
'Cause-
that little machine, the little thing where they would tie him to a truck and bring him out in the sunlight, probably. I wonder if John Carpenter's Vampires took some inspiration from whoever wrote the story. Took some inspiration from this because it
A
does.
little bit,
It feels kind of similar, just
Just this one was made better.
way better done. Yeah, story wise and stuff.
I'm sorry. I know it was directed by who'd you say, Catherine Bigelow?
Yeah,
But something tells me James Cameron had a hand in it to help her since that was his wife.
it was her first movie too. So now she went on to do like Point Break, which is fantastic.
Oh, that.
And she's done some good movies since then. Mm-hmm. But yeah, this is her first movie, so I can definitely buy the fact that he used his cloud from aliens or money from aliens to help finance it too. So
Right.
the fact that they're again using the same cast from the movie is pretty cool.
So Caleb decides to make the daring escape or attempt of wrapping himself in a blanket so that way the sun doesn't get him, to get to the van.
He gets shot to shit on the way to the van.
Yeah, well, he doesn't care because he's a vampire, even though, again, bloodlust should be a thing in this movie.
And this act of bravery has earned him some goodwill with our group, who now consider him to be one of them.
Not yet, because Jesse still says you still need to kill. He trusts them more.
Yeah, well, he actually says you bought yourself some time.
Yeah.
But he's definitely more open. I mean, Jess lets him know, like, because Caleb like funnily asks him or comedically asks him how old he is.
He tells him, "Oh, I fought for the South."
We lost.
That's about all you need to know. The guy was old enough to be in the Civil War.
And I think that's why his character's more low key, because he's kind of like
Been doing it a while because how much you want to bet he probably got turned during that war too.
Yeah, you would think his side would have won though, because
I said he got turned during it. I didn't say he fought it afterwards.
I was like, whichever side had vampires on it probably should have won.
I guarantee the vampires didn't care, because guess what? That's free blood. All the wounded sitting there on the battlefield just screaming in pain. Vampire comes up, feeds on them.
Do you think these vampires have superhuman strength?
Well, Bill Paxton definitely does.
Okay. Well,
Bill Paxton does. Lance Henriksen shows a little bit in the form, but he doesn't show off in a sense. Because all he does is break the dad's hand when the dad and Sarah show up.
now I thought it was a great twist that the sister and the father end up being at the same hotel.
And I mean, we had to have a reason to get Caleb to actually decide to fight this crew.
Well, and I thought the gang should have like understood that that's his family and let them go, but they're just like, oh, they've seen our faces, we got to kill them, all this stuff. So it's just silly. Like Caleb's not gonna let them like kill your family. Like,
Right. Well, I still to this day feel why didn't Lance try to pull the whole? Oh, well, once we turn her, you'll be with your family forever. So I'm surprised they didn't try that, because obviously,
right to trying to kill them.
well, Homer, he was going to turn Sarah no matter what.
He was obsessed with her.
So Sarah was getting turned no matter what. Dad, on the other hand, he was dead.
That escalated from watching TV to him wanting to bite her pretty quickly. The dad, which is funny, he's like trying to shoot them, and he's like, it's not gonna do anything. But Caleb's like kind of like, you guys go away, like I'm gonna stay here with them. But then he basically just jumps in the back of the car and.
Well, that's because because most likely he knows, oh, if I stay with them, they are going to kill me now.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, I feel like this is where the climax should have started.
Yeah.
They should not have went straight to day. It should have been right here, nighttime. This is where the climax started, with them trying to get away now.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's funny too, because I think we talked about this earlier, but the fact that he's trying to describe to his dad in the car, he's like, just say you're a vampire. Why are you like, just like, I'm turning, like I'm something else. Like,
right, I'm something else. I've been bit. Like your dad knows what the hell you're talking
this
about.
movie refuses to use the word vampire.
Well, then we found out apparently giving someone a transfusion with human blood can turn a vampire back to human.
Now, this was sort of convenient.
It's such an easy way of fixing vampirism in this.
Yeah, I think that was probably something where they wanted to get to the shootout and all that at the end, but they also were like, well, we gotta like still get him back to being human.
But I feel like, again,
It's kind of a cop-out.
it's a cop-out, but I also feel like they should have kept him as a vampire, because he should have known, hey, they're gonna come after us. Even though, to be fair, if I was him, I'd be thinking, well, if we don't do anything to target them, they won't come after us. They're sensible people. You would think.
Well, I mean, they hold a grudge, I guess, because
I guess so.
They do come after him. Although, so I don't know how it's done, because May comes first.
Yes.
And she genuinely just wants to see him. Mm-hmm. But I think maybe they followed her.
Yeah, that's what I feel like too. They followed her. Homer kidnapped Sarah, because let's face it, it's Homer that wants Sarah. The others don't.
So that's why they came back, because Homer's obsessed with Sarah. So he convinced them, hey.
I guess it makes sense, because they left the father alive.
Yeah, so Homer convinced them, like, hey, and they're probably Jess is like, yeah, let's move on, let's go to the next town. And Homer's like, I gotta have this. I gotta have her.
Yeah, because face it, when Jesse woke up that night, it's like, well, they didn't come after us. They had the means to be able to do it.
Yeah.
So fuck them.
And we need her getting kidnapped. We need a reason also for
Caleb to get back into the fight.
Yeah, and now he's approaching them as a human, so it's like a different thing. Like,
right, but I still feel like they should have left him a vampire for this, so that way we could at least get the Bill Paxton or Severin versus Caleb fight, even though obviously Severin was going to win 9 times out of 10. Even before he becomes human.
I love this whole scene with Severin. First of all, the truck driver getting shot in the head, him going pow,
Bullseye.
bullseye. It's hilarious.
And then decides to punch out a truck. I've only seen that in cartoons.
And
Mainly Hey Arnold.
he's having so much fun doing it. It's just hilarious. I love his performance is so over the top.
And even though we did not mention, the truck driver did teach Caleb how to drive a truck, including how to stop it. You're supposed to hit the trailer first, then the cab, so that way you don't jackknife.
Right.
Because obviously the trailer will keep coming. But instead, what Caleb does is hits the cab and jumps out for a Hail Mary jackknife explosion because it's a gas truck.
Bullseye.
I'm trying to figure out. I know that's a gas truck, but how did that gas truck explode just from jackknifing?
I don't know, but that's the end of Severin. Went out in a blaze. Now,
Severin should have came back for one last scare.
now with Jess and his girl, I never remember his girl's name.
Diamondback.
When they're going to try to kill what's his face now, Caleb. Mm-hmm. Diamondback tries to let him get away almost.
Yeah.
She tells Caleb like, "Run, Caleb."
Well,
like,
at the same time,
are they really trying to kill him here? Or are they like are still on his side? It's kind of.
I
weird.
feel like Diamond was still slightly on his side because Diamond doesn't want the little girl hurt.
Okay.
To be fair, but she's still. But also at the same time, Jesse may have wanted to get the kill.
Yeah.
So even though she was, even if Sarah didn't warn Caleb, she would have gotten the kill.
Yeah. This is all just to basically take Sarah, and then we get our chase scene basically with, now because May's with them, she's going to be able to get Jess or get Sarah out of the car.
Yes. And however, I still love Caleb's thing of letting Sarah run. Like, you see the car coming and you think she's safer on her own running.
Yeah.
You do remember she's the one they're after.
Right.
Of course. And it proves that she's the one they're after. The minute they pick her up, they just turn around and drive away. They don't even go after Caleb again.
That's true. But it shows you also how much the little kid wants Sarah because he runs right after her.
Oh, when they jump out and the sun's hitting them.
That kid's like, man, I'm having her or I'm dying.
Well, he died.
He
blew up.
He blew up. Yeah.
And then you got Diamond and Jesse just burning away. Jesse giving you the eyes of like, just fucking end it now.
They kind of seem resolved to just be like, all right, this is a decent way to die, I guess.
Right. So they blow up. And
we get a blood transfusion from May also.
And May is a human, even though she doesn't seem to be too happy. Let's face it, she probably liked being a vampire.
I think
if she had the right clan.
By this time, I buy the romance enough to where this is the only way they can actually be together. Though.
Well, yeah, but I feel like with the right clan, she would have liked to continue being a vampire.
But now they can actually see the sunlight, which is probably for her going to be amazing.
No, it's not. She likes the night.
That first sunrise, though.
I guarantee you, the end of this movie, she left Caleb to go find another vampire to turn her.
I think in other movies, becoming human might be not being a vampire might be like, oh man, I was immortal as a vampire. But the lifestyle for them was so terrible, and there's always the danger of sunlight. I feel like probably it's a relief.
She's gonna go to Transylvania to find whatever vampire is living in Dracula's castle, so he can turn her.
After 1 week as a human, she's gonna be like, I want out of this human thing.
Exactly.
Get me back to being a vampire.
She's not used to the pain of being a human anymore.
Oh God.
Because who knows when she was turned? For all we know, she was turned in the 1930s.
Yeah, like what does she do now? She goes back, enrolls in school and gets a job. Like I don't.
She works on the farm.
Works on the farm.
It's also handy that I guess the dad is a doctor.
Yeah.
Or a vet. I don't know, because how did the dad know how to do a perfect transfusion?
Well, they had blood in the car they picked him up in, so it's like something. Okay, well, I'll give my final thoughts. I watched the movie twice, and I did like it more on the second time watching it. The first time I watched it, I felt like the beginning was kind of slow, and it took me a while to get into it. But the movie grew on me as it went on, and by the end, I was heavily invested in the characters, wanted to see what happened. It's just like a very grounded movie. Like there's not really much comedic relief, which it doesn't really need. But it's a very interesting, realistic depiction of vampires, I would say. And the acting is strong all across the board, especially by Bill Paxton, though. That man is just... This might be my favorite Bill Paxton performance I've ever seen, seriously. There's no really obvious flaws in the movie, honestly. And there's a certain level it's at where, to me, it's not a great movie, but there's really nothing wrong with it either, I would say. And it does have a lot of memorable stuff, I'd say. I'm going to do a weak 3 stars. I'm going to say it's a good movie for sure, and I think there'll be some rewatchability with it, too. And I think if you like more serious type of vampire movies, this will be your thing. Obviously, you have stuff like Lost Boys and Fright Night, which is more comedic and more fun. This is a more serious vampire film. There's not too many movies like that. So I'm gonna do a light 3 stars. It's not an amazing movie, but it's well acted. It's well directed.
Okay,
Solid.
well,
The things I don't like about it are mostly like little nitpick things, like the blood transfusion thing is kind of a cop out of an ending.
well,
But the characters are all like, especially the vampire gang, they're all very memorable characters. Honestly, I would say, even the kids. So
me and you are going to have to differ just a wee bit. I only thought Bill Paxton was memorable. Honestly, I wish they would have given a little bit more time for us to also get to know Diamond a little bit better, because besides her being Jesse's mate, there was nothing we know about her.
I do think this is one of those movies. I noticed on the second time though, there's a lot of scenes in the movie where like all the characters are in the scenes. So on the second watch, you can do something interesting where you can like kind of look at the other characters while, like, say one character's talking. A lot of times they'll show the other characters make like reacting in the background, kind of. So you can kind of watch those scenes again and focus on her and see how she's reacting to certain things. So there's a lot of that makes it good on the rewatches.
For me, the movie is well acted, but for some reason I could not get behind Caleb.
Really?
I think it's still that first scene where he forces her to kiss him. It's like,
I take that as like he kind of deserved to be bitten, become a vampire. But once he's a vampire, him being so reluctant to kill anybody, I think brings him back to being like, okay, this is obviously a good person. So,
well, I like the character development there in a sense, or the conflict. You know, you're a monster now, but the real question is how far can you go?
He grew on me him and May both grew on me as the movie went on. And the first half, I was kind of like more just interested on the vampire side, the gang. But by the end, I'm rooting for them. By the end, they got me on their side by the end. So.
Yeah, but still, Caleb's not really a great character in my opinion. But at the same time, there's a few things. Really, the transfusion scene is definitely the biggest issue I have with it. It's a big cop-out. I understand you want a happy ending for these characters, but you still should give us something. Like, how did the blood transfusion even work? Did you actually take out all the vampire blood, in a sense killing him before the dad put his own blood in him first? We don't get any of that.
It is kind of like a super quick fix, and it works, and it's just like, oh man, like,
right. It's like, why didn't anyone else think of that earlier?
Why didn't they offer that to like the other ones and be like, hey, we can turn you human if you want? Maybe they would have. Nah, probably not.
Oh, Bill Paxton would have stayed vampire.
Yeah,
but no.
Bill Paxton was the only real villain. I didn't see Jez as like a big time villain.
He wasn't. No, that's what I said. Severin was the real villain of the story.
Yeah,
Homer, I wouldn't say he's a villain. He's just misguided, I guess is the best way to say it.
I thought
he's still childish. He's still a child.
But I thought the actor was really good. The kid. Actor,
oh yeah, the kid was great
because like I could tell there's more going on with him, and like I didn't see him as a kid. I saw him as like an older person. So.
Right, but and the movie has some slow spots. Again, as Vic mentioned, it's one of those serious movies. If you don't want a serious movie, don't watch this one. If you want a serious movie, it's a great one to pick up.
It's a slow burn.
Yeah, it's a slow burn, but since it's definitely not for everybody, I'm gonna go under. It's gonna be 2.5. It's still a good movie. Still I wouldn't say a fun time watching, but it's still a good time watching it.
Yeah, it's not fun, but it's not supposed to be fun.
Yeah, well,
it's supposed to be just, interesting.
Yeah, it's supposed to be, I guess, a more, as you said, more realistic feel to it.
Yeah, it's kind of like, what was here to me was what was missing from John Carpenter's Vampires. You didn't like any of the characters in John Carpenter's Vampires. There's no character development, and it was like,
what are you talking about? We found out James Woods halfway through likes dicks.
John Carpenter's Vampires also was like, it didn't have like the big action scenes that it needed, but then the slow parts were just like slogs. The slow parts at least are like character stuff that I can kind of get behind.
Yeah, that's fair.
And like I said, watching the second time, I did find there to be like rewatchability. So.
Well, this was my second time watching. The first time watching, I think, was back in early 2000s. I know I watched it a long time ago. I just can't remember when.
Well, it's so hard to find that it never really comes up unless you're like actively seeking it out. So.
Right. And when you're actively seeking it out, you still can't find it.
True that.
So overall, people, you do not have to go home. You do got to get yourself a water dispenser, get some zero water, and suffer this no caffeine month with me.
I may join you starting tomorrow. I'm thinking about it.
Let me know how that goes for
I'm
you.
going to get random late night text messages like, I can't sleep. I need coffee. It's going to make no sense.
No, that actually makes perfect sense.
I'll be like, how did you do this? Losing my mind.
Peace.